Hello everyone, I am Nitin Kothari. I am here to bring you an intriguing podcast about our upcoming NFO Samco Small Cap Fund. It is India's first momentum-based small cap fund. Samco is not just a name, but it carries a profound meaning along with itself, where S and A stands for strategies and algorithm, M represents momentum, and C and O is all about capturing opportunities through various funds of Samco Mutual Fund. As we step in to launch Samco Small Cap Fund, to understand the crux of Samco AMC and understand the features of our small cap fund, we are here joined by the man himself, our CIO, Mr. Umesh Kumar Mehta. Very welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Let's just jump into the conversation. My first question to you, Umesh sir, is that if you were to explain Samco AMC and the uniqueness that Samco AMC brings to the table to a layman, how would you do that?
See, every investor wants highest possible return on their capital. So if that is what the instinct is, then when we go and check what is that factor that delivers that kind of alpha, and Morgan Stanley Capital International, which is the biggest data cruncher on this planet, their research shows that the momentum, the MSCI Momentum Index has delivered 26x return in last 30 years, and the MSCI World Index has delivered 11x return. So there are various research papers which have gone through 215 years of data across asset class, commodities, currencies. So they have also come to a conclusion that momentum is that factor that generates alpha. It is still persistent, and that is why we at Samco, we have chosen momentum as a factor to manage assets for our investors. And momentum requires a lot of computations, analytics on a real-time basis, and that is why we say that it is model-driven or rule-based investing that solves our problem as fund managers. So we have coded everything, the momentum as a strategy, and that's the kind of the recipe, the preparation that we have for our investors to have the superior risk-adjusted return for investors.
So what I understand is, correct me if I'm wrong, Samco AMC is differentiated because it follows momentum as a factor across all its strategies, because it is the most persistent as well as the highest alpha generating factor. But at the same time, Samco practices rule-based investing. Now there is a common conception, if I may put it that way, that rule-based investing doesn't work in India. If I were to ask you, does rule-based investing work in India, can you explain it to me?
Yes, rule-based does work. So Nifty 50 is also rule-based, right? So there are these 3 lines of code. So the top 50 companies in India enters into the index, and they rebalance every 6 months. And if the company falls below, the prices fall, the next company will enter that index. So this simple rule, Nifty 50 has delivered 16% CAGR return. So if rule-based investing, and out in developed countries people love rule-based investing, they have a passion for passives, etc. So rule-based investing has a magic that human emotions don't come in play, the greed, the fear, a whole lot of human side of mistakes are taken care of when one has rule-based investing. And to give you an example, the momentum index on small cap, the rule base, again there is the fixed rule that how they calculate the returns, the stocks, rule based index on the momentum side on the small cap itself has delivered 22%, and the small cap index, the steady state 250 index has delivered around 16%. So rule based investing works, it has delivered alpha, it is time tested, and that is why we are practicing and following that.
Perfect, thank you, very well summarized. Now, if I were to ask you that Samco is stepping into the small cap space, before we get into what Samco does in the small cap space, it would be very prudent for our audience to understand how does small cap add value to a client's portfolio? How does it help in their wealth creation journey? If you can elaborate on that.
See, just as a young person has a lot of energy and they can do a lot of work, similarly small cap as a category has historically generated alpha. And why they generate alpha? Because they are in that growth stage, the base is small, and therefore in bull market the return gets exponential expansion. So that is why in long term small caps have generated historically alpha over the large caps, and this is across countries and across cycles. So small cap generates alpha. Second, and the other advantage is small cap gives investors a whole lot of whole set of companies that which are not available in the large cap space. So for example, defense is an emerging space. So in large and mid cap space there are 3 aerospace defense companies, but in small cap space there are 8-10 companies. So these are all emerging sectors, and this is how the alpha gets generated, because you are there in the emerging sector, you have got wider spectra of companies, so that you have a diversified portfolio and we can manage risk well, and eventually in the long term get that better superior alpha.
That brings me down to the question about the industry. Now, when we look at the mutual fund industry and we look at the flows data, what we have seen is that small cap as a space has been getting huge amount of flows over the last 2, 3, 4 years. And resultant of that is that many of the funds in the space have become very large in size. So what is your take on that?
The bucket is overflowing. So there are 12 funds which are upwards of 10,000 crores, and one of the fund is upwards of 50,000 crores. So small cap, the fund, people love small caps, and that is why we see such huge amount of flows in there. So for a small cap fund to give that optimal return, the size can't be very large, because by the very definition the market cap of the 251st stock is 30,000 crores, and the market cap of 750th stock is 5,000 crore. So from 30 to 5,000 crore is the universe, right? And when you have fund size which is upwards of 50-60,000 crores, and then to getting in and get out, all those will have little. So today the industry for investors, the small cap industry has actually become very large, and therefore this is an opportunity for Samco to get in the space, and because we will be able to maneuver in entries and exits quite efficiently, will create an opportunity for investors.
That brings me to a question that an investor, as you rightly said, there are multiple funds in the small cap space, there are plethora of options which are out there. What is Samco Small Cap Fund bringing to the table which makes the client have some allocation into this fund?
Yeah. So out of 31 funds, if we look at the SID of their investment style, none are momentum. And it's either quality, value, growth, the steady state, traditional investing factor. So investors will have momentum as a factor when they get into the small cap, Samco Small Cap Fund. Our algorithm, our proprietary momentum algorithm will identify stocks from the universe of 500 stocks. So 251st to 750 stocks, and we will use our cross-sectional absolute momentum, wherein we will identify through price action, volume, volatility, etc., which stocks are doing well. Plus we will also use fundamental factors like profit momentum and revenue momentum, so that we have a whole holistic set of parameters to identify stocks that will enter into investors' portfolio. And third and the most important thing is we will also do hedging, right? So up to 20% we have provision for hedging, so that it takes care of the down cycle when eventually markets are up and down, so that betters the investor experience as far as the drawdowns are concerned.
Thank you for that. Ultimately, for a client who is going to make an investment, the prima facie thing in his head is always about कि कितना बना के देगी. What is the kind of return and risk expectation that a client should have when he's looking to invest into a Samco Small Cap Fund?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Small Cap 250 index in last 20 years have delivered 16% compounded CAGR. So Samco Small Cap Fund, the model that we have and that we will run live in the market, the back tested result of this small cap model that we have has shown 24% compounded CAGR in the last 20 years with the standard deviation, lower standard deviation. So the index 250 small cap index has a standard deviation of 21%. The standard deviation for Samco model is at around 18.9%. So because as I told you, it also has hedging. Samco has momentum as a factor and the kind of alpha that momentum factor will generate, And plus rule-based investing, as I told you, we also follow absolute rules, while entry and taking exits. So this is how this becomes a solid proposition for investors to invest.
Absolutely. So if in one line we were to understand this, in a world which is driven by opinions, Samco chooses to be driven by evidence. Samco follows a simple and a powerful idea that systems can create money. And if you follow processes and rules, the outcomes are also predictable as well as repeatable. Samco Small Cap Fund is another fund with the same belief, which if pursued with patience and process will be able to add a lot of value to the client's portfolio and help them create wealth over a longer period of time. The NFO starts on 14th November. It is live till 28th November. We look forward to your support and participation in our small cap fund. It is India's first momentum-based small cap NFO coming in. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. for your time. It was lovely speaking to you, and I hope that the audience also finds it enlightening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.